I met this girl when I was 10 years old, and what I loved most, she had so much soul. Hey everybody, it's Old School Heart back with another video for you guys. I missed you guys. So sorry that you did not get a video this Sunday. Of course, it was a holiday, so I took time and enjoyed myself. I ate real good. I enjoyed the Steve Harvey versus Earth, Wind and Fire versus the Isley brother versus on Sunday night. I really enjoyed myself. And I say it that way because we know how Steve Harvey acted. But I really enjoyed myself this weekend and really got refreshed so that I can bring you some new content. So I hope that you really enjoyed the holiday weekend. I hope that you were safe and all is well with you and your family. So we are back at it, of course. We are back at it. This is going to be episode 6 of Where My Girl's At, Janteyl Johnson. Remember that movie on Lifetime called 15 and Pregnant? Like when Lifetime was the best movie channel for females. Like it was such a good channel. But y'all remember that movie? So the story goes in that movie, there's a conservative family that was super religious and they had a daughter who they did not know was sexually active. So she gets pregnant, right? So the movie follows this family as they go through, family drama. The husband and wife are both blaming each other for the child being pregnant. And then you have the child herself, going through the transitions of being pregnant, still being in love with the child's father, but the child being super immature and not understanding that they, have a life that they're bringing into the world. And, they just go back and forth with, dealing with the stress of a teenage pregnancy and becoming a mother. And, like any other Lifetime movie, it could be either good or bad. But in this one in particular, at the end of the movie, the family all comes together as this 15-year-old girl gives birth to a baby, right? And at the end, the family, I guess, resolves all their problems and boom, it's a happy ending. But, what if the story turned out to be different? What if the girl was still 15 and pregnant, but she was black? And not only was she black, but instead of that storybook ending that Lifetime gave us, she ended up missing and never returning back home to her family. This is the story of the disappearance of Janteyl Johnson, aka Puff, to her family, and to her friends she's simply known as Jay. Where My Girl's At, episode 6. The day is Wednesday, February 3rd, 2010 in Newark, Delaware. Janteyl, her mom, Kaima, and her brother head out early to drop Kaima off at the train station so that she can commute to work. After dropping their mom off at the train station, Janteyl is dropped off at school. Now, this is their daily routine. So about noon, Kaima gets a call from Janteyl at work. And Janteyl explains to her that she is sick. She does not feel well at all. So she's going to go ahead and go home. Now, keep in mind that Janteyl is 5 months pregnant. And so, of course, she has an unexcused absence, no different than, pregnant women can leave work early with short-term disability, right? So she tells mom that she is going to go home and rest, and then she'll return back to school for after-school activities. She did ask her mom to give her a call and wake her up as well. Now, this is Wednesday, and Janteyl and her family are devout Christians. They regularly attend church services. So on Wednesdays, I'm assuming it was Bible study or like a midweek service that they usually go to. So, Janteyl's brother actually comes home to pick her up so that they can go and meet their mom at church for midweek service or Bible study. So when the brother returns home, he realizes that Janteyl is not there. But he doesn't panic or anything. He says that, hey, maybe Janteyl went to hang with some friends. Maybe she's still at school. But for a 15-year-old and a 15-year-old that was pregnant, she was pretty responsible. So he didn't think anything of it. But by 10 p.m., Janteyl had not returned home. And so Mom Kaima had promptly called the police and filed a missing persons report. Now, a few seconds ago, I told you that Janteyl had called her mom about noon that day, right? And she asked her mom to give her a wake-up call. Her mom did give her a wake-up call, but she did not answer the phone. And actually, throughout that whole afternoon into that evening, Janteyl did not answer the phone. And when Mom Kima got off work and returned home from church, or I don't know if it was her or the brother, they found the door unlocked when they came home. So you have the door that's unlocked when mom or brother returns home, and then they go into Janteyl's room, and everything seems to be where everything was left. And the one thing mom notices immediately was there was a Betty Boop purse that Janteyl had just purchased that was still at home. So, you know, there was some mystery behind that because no one goes anywhere. No girl goes anywhere without her purse. And not only did she leave her purse, her glasses that she wore were still left on the bed. Her clothes were still where they were. There was nothing out of place. Nothing was pulled. It wasn't dirty in that room. Everything was as it should be. But still, the police listed her as an endangered runaway. Now, mom did tell police that there was a slight possibility, very, very slight possibility that Janteyl could be a runaway because I believe like maybe a couple of years ago she had run away, but it was for a couple of hours, nothing huge, nothing big. But those that knew Janteyl, like really, really knew Janteyl, knew that she was far from a runaway. For one, Janteyl may have been pregnant at 15, but she was super, super smart. She was a really, really gifted young lady. And when I say a really, really smart young lady, meaning that she can decipher right from wrong. She knew, you know, how to protect herself. She knew, you know, what decisions were good, what decisions were bad. Two, Kaima, her mother stated she already decided her life path. She loved doing hair and could not wait until she was able to get her hair license and open up her own shop. That was her dream, is to like do hair, open up her own shop, invite other people that knew how to do hair to her shop so that they could all work together and make everybody fabulous in the Delaware area. So Kaima says Janteyl was always doing hair and never kept the same hairstyle herself. Like she always had a different hairstyle. Furthermore, once Janteyl found out that she was pregnant, even though her family was kind of disappointed, because we are talking about a 15-year-old child, they were disappointed in her. But once she found out that they still loved her very much and supported and accepted her, she was good to go. Like she had no issues because she knew that she had her family as her backbone. She knew that she had really, really big support. And so, like I said, she was good to go. She also was looking forward to an upcoming appointment. She had an appointment with the doctor so that they could reveal the gender of the baby. So, you know, Janteyl's family and friends could not understand why she was listed as an endangered runaway when there was no real reason why she would want to do so, right? She had a future to look forward to, and she was in a healthy place in her life. You know, family support, like I said, had a dream of doing hair, was doing hair for everyone, you know, so she was making money as well, you know, so there was no real reason at least to the family, why she would run away. And relaying that information to the police is still quite shocking that they would still list her as an endangered runaway, because with all of those possibilities, it does not scream runaway. It screams something a lot more sinister. It screams a lot more deceptive than it does runaway. So before I go further into this missing person story, when I was researching this story in particular, I began to think about something that I hadn't thought about with any of the other cases. And you know, when we do Where My Girl's At, we go deep. We always talk about something socially constructed, racially constructed, because we always fall back to like white supremacy. We always fall back to everything goes through the lens of white perception and different things like that. We've done that with every show. We've done that with every missing girl that we've talked about. This is no different. But I was thinking in particular with Janteyl Johnson. Her family was relaying to this police department who Janteyl was, right? They were telling the police department that she had a bright future. She loved her life. Yes, she was pregnant, but she looked forward to her future. She was optimistic about her plans. She was optimistic about being a mother. She knew that she had support. And trying to communicate that to the police so that they can change their stance on Janteyl being a runaway, and really, really marking her as a missing person. We know that a lot of police stations are predominantly ran and employed by white males. We also know that because that is the case, understanding culture is probably very, very hard. I liken it to our education system, right? So if you've read any statistics, you know that predominantly white women are teachers. And that means even in our own communities that white women make up the majority of the teachers. And one of the things that we've always talked about as a community is it's easier to educate a child when the child is around the culture that they're used to. They're around. So basically, if a child has a black teacher, they are more disciplined. They learn better. They understand better. And different things like that. You know, because there's no barrier there. You know, a black teacher can understand what a black child is going through. They know how to discipline. They know when a child maybe needs a push. They know when a child needs love. They know the signs to look for. White women, you have to teach that to. You have to teach them to recognize different signs in them. You have to help them to understand certain aspects of our culture that they may not understand. Where they think a child may be acting out, a child may not be acting out actually. That is the same, I think, with the police. If you're not a part of the culture, you won't understand what's being communicated to you. You won't understand how the culture, perceives certain things. And so when the family is screaming to the police department, it couldn't be a runaway because she was looking forward to this. And in our culture, we know about the hair business. We know that, hey, if Janteyl is 15 and she's doing hair well, sis is getting money. Sis is getting a lot of money. And for a 15-year-old, if she's making $100, $200 a week on doing some hair, she is doing well. And so you know, one of the things that I realize is that our culture has to be represented in these particular departments, education, police departments, and different things like that. There has to be someone there to articulate our feelings through our culture. And unfortunately, with some of these police stations, that's really, really hard to do. And so something as simple as, you know, not marking this child as runaway and missing is very important. I was reading an article from a couple of years ago that stated that this is the reason why the media did not assist in finding efforts, because the child was listed as a runaway, as an endangered runaway. And I hate that they use endangered as well, because it means people will not take an interest in finding her. When you list a child as endangered runaway, a lot of people are going to assume that she was unhappy at home, that she wasn't happy, and that she left the home. And when you put that out into the media, or you put that out into the public is not going to assist you. They're not going to be looking. They're not going to be calling in with different leads. They're not going to do any of that, because why should they? The cops have said this is it. And, you know, a lot of us believe that cops are law. And what they say goes, and what they say is right. And so, unfortunately, it was really bad for her, and it's really bad for a lot of black women when you list them that way, because it means it literally will not help them, and it means that the media coverage is going to be non-existent in a world where it is barely existent anyway. We already talk about that here on this show quite a bit. It's already non-existent, but when you do something like that, the media is definitely not going to pick it up, because they don't understand why they would need to. They're going to go exactly with what the police have said and move on from there. And so those things combined meant that Janteyl's parents and those that loved her would be searching for her alone, pretty much. They wouldn't get any effort at all put into this. So what was some of the evidence that was gathered to assist the cops in searching for Janteyl? Because, I mean, she didn't return or anything like that, so they had to gather some type of evidence. So Janteyl's phone records revealed that there was a call to Janteyl sometime in the afternoon. Now, this was not a long phone call. This was a very, very short phone call. Unfortunately, it was made from a burner phone, like, you know, those phones that you pick up at Walmart, Verizon, those little flip phones. Those are burner phones. And so they can't trace those phones, because it's basically like using a calling card. You use it, and then, you know, a lot of times you dump it, or you keep it locked up for a number of years. You don't ever use it again. And so, unfortunately, with those phones, you can't trace those calls, because, you know, the owner of the phone is not listed, and the numbers that they call on those phones are not listed as well. Now, a lot of people, even Janteyl's mother, Kaima, assumed that that phone call that was made to her in the afternoon was from the father of Janteyl's baby. Now, this is what I don't understand, and I'm still trying to, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure it out. I was trying to find information on it. I'm unsure if her parents were not aware of who the father was, or if they did not know much about the father. So maybe they knew his name but didn't know where he lived, or they knew where he lived but didn't know his full name. I'm unsure, but I could not find out for sure if they really, really knew baby daddy or not. Now, the internet rumor and the word on the street is that the father of Janteyl's baby was like 26 years old. But I am unsure if that is true or not. It is looking like he was a lot older than her. Sorry. So, I mean, there is a possibility, maybe she received a phone call from that baby daddy, because they did know that she did go home that day. Like, she did go home to rest that day. So they did know she was there because the door was open. When they all left the house that morning, the door was locked. So they do know that she was most definitely at that house at some point in time during that afternoon. So maybe she did receive a call from that baby father, and she met him somewhere thinking she would be back before she had to go back to school. That is a possibility. Not to mention, a few days later, after she goes missing, her phone pings off at a house of a relative of this baby father. So, like I said, I'm guessing that mom knew his name or like his family or something. But the details of who this person was is what is confusing me, and probably has confused a lot of us since Janteyl went missing. So anyway, his name, like I said, has not been disclosed to the public at all. We don't know who he is. We don't know where he lives. And police, for some odd reason, have been really, really tight-lipped about his involvement with this case. Now, however, I guess, we can assume he hasn't been, we can assume that he's been questioned, at least, and probably a number of times throughout the years, but nothing has come of it at all. Even like with Phoenix, that boyfriend, it's been a number of years. They've probably been questioned. If there is some suspicion, it has not led to anything else because these women are still considered missing. There's no body or anything like that. And so right now they're off living their lives. And like I said, because the police are tight-lipped, I don't know if they're still gathering information or how they're handling the missing case or the person's involvement, the baby dad's involvement. But right now they're out, they're free. He's free. And we haven't heard much about him since. However, Mom Kaima has mother instinct. She knows that baby father knows something about her child's disappearance. She's kept to that story a long time. She's believed it since her daughter went missing, that he knows something. And we look at these cold cases, these stories and stuff like that come on TV, on ID and everything like that. And it's 15, 20 years later, and it always fascinates me that the parents know, or they have this instinct in them that knows who may be involved in their child's disappearance and ultimately their murder. They know, they can feel it in their gut that a person is being deceptive. And so mom has stuck to her guns and said, hey, he knows, if he didn't do it, he knows something. He knows he was involved in some way in her disappearance, and she has not relented on that. Now, here's what I do know. I know that if he was an older age, like it's been rumored that he's 26 years old, impregnating a 15-year-old girl does not look good. Does not look good at all. Especially if he was married or involved with another person, or maybe if he had already had like a lot of kids. This may have been his third or fourth kid. Now, I couldn't find any information on whether they were trying to charge him with sexual assault because she was 15 and he was 26. Now, this is a rumor. He was 26. But that may be a possibility as well, where Kaima was like, if he is older, we're going to have to do something about it. And maybe Janteyl was trying to protect him because at 15, you think you so in love. You think that this person is never going to leave you. And so a lot of us being young and not being wise, we try to protect our boyfriends, right? We try to make sure that they don't get in any trouble. And not only that, Janteyl is thinking about her child as well. She doesn't want her child's father to be in jail and not know who her child's father is. So she may have been, trying to protect him. So he could have possibly been involved with this disappearance because he was in fear. He was in fear of losing the relationship that he may have with someone he was married to or someone he was involved with, or fear of having another kid, or fear of actually getting in trouble for impregnating this young girl. Now, unfortunately, we'll never know about Janteyl's relationship with the father of her child. We'll never know. And now it's been 11 years since Janteyl has went missing. So we're talking now, Janteyl is 26 and the child would be about 11 years old now. Now, in spite of lack of media coverage, which we all know that missing black women are rarely covered in the media, the family has done the best job that they can to keep Janteyl's name alive. So they've done interviews with Dateline, any news outlet, media outlet that would talk about Janteyl and her being missing. They've done all of that. They've set up a website that I will list below that you can actually go to. And I believe there is even a small documentary, although it's hard to find it. And I was actually looking for it. Now, I did find the script about the documentary, but I couldn't find the documentary. But there is supposed to be one out there that you can look at. Also, of course, you can view other versions of the story through Google and stuff like that. So there are ways that they have tried to make sure that we know who Janteyl Johnson is. Now, as with all of the missing black women's families that I cover, they do hope for her return. That is the goal, is for her to return home. And so that's why they, are trying to keep her name out there and trying to make sure that everyone knows that that this girl went missing, pregnant, and has never returned. As with all of the missing black women families that I cover, they all hope for the return of their loved ones. And Janteyl Johnson's family is no different. They have said repeatedly that they will be so elated to have Janteyl Johnson back in their life. They will be so happy to just have her. No questions asked, of course. They will just be happy to see her again. And so if you have any information at all about the disappearance of Janteyl Johnson, or about this baby father of hers, maybe he moved out of the state, him, maybe you heard the story and you heard through the grapevine that this person, Janteyl, he was the baby father, any information that you have for this case, I will list the contact information below, and you can call that number and give any information to the missing persons department that you have. And of course, I will put up a picture of what she would look like at 26 years old and what she looked like back then. So this is episode 6 of Where My Girl's At, Janteyl Johnson. Be sure to like this video. Be sure to share this video and also leave a comment. Do you think a girl that had a promising future would just run away? What do you think about this mysterious baby father? Do you think that maybe he has some involvement with the disappearance? Let me know what you think about this missing persons case in particular. Once again, I will be back for our cultural conversation on this Sunday, so be on the lookout for that video. Have a great rest of the week. I love you, and be safe out there. This is Old School Heart. Bye.